Do you remember when we were at the air temple and you found Monkey Atso's skeleton? It must have been...
20 years later, Avatar hasn't just aged well, it's become a straight-up masterpiece.
Momo, time for you to go.
And here's where it hits you almost immediately. Avatar isn't just another good cartoon, it's that rare series that somehow grows richer every time you revisit it. Even 20 years later, nothing's managed to match the way it blends world building, character development, humor, heartbreak, and those tiny emotional details that sneak up on you. Every element feels handcrafted. The voice acting lands with genuine weight, the music sinks straight into your memory, and every character arc feels earned. It's one of those shows where you suddenly notice something new on every rewatch. Seriously, how many series can claim that without exaggeration? But here's the twist most people forget. Avatar didn't look like a masterpiece at the start. The early season 1 episodes carried that bright, playful Nickelodeon energy. Fun, sure, but light. Low stakes, almost like the show was warming up. Think about Aang casually taming the Unagi or the goofy side quests. It's charming, but not the kind of stuff that screams legendary series in the making. And for new viewers, convincing them to keep watching wasn't easy, because none of those deeper, heavier themes had kicked in yet. It was good, but nobody knew how quickly it was about to level up. Before the storm, the series experimented with tone and pacing through episodes like the Winter Solstice 2-parter, which opened the doorway to deeper spiritual themes and hinted at the world's larger stakes. The Deserter introduced heavier concepts like discipline, responsibility, and the consequences of misusing power. The Northern Water Tribe arc expanded the scale dramatically, teasing the show's true potential. Season 2 would later build on this with Azula's terrifying entrance and Toph's legendary debut. But even with all these standout moments, the real tonal transformation begins earlier, and surprisingly, more quietly, with the episode that changed the show forever.
Make it overflow!
Episodes right before the storm often felt lighter, sometimes even immature compared to what Avatar would later become. Jet introduced gray morality but wrapped it inside a somewhat silly, fast-paced plot. The Great Divide is widely joked about as the weakest episode in the entire series, with simple conflicts and filler energy. These moments reflect the fun adventure show made for kids. Phase. Avatar was still shaking off. Then came episode 12, The Storm, which didn't just elevate the writing, it redefined the series' emotional core, maturing the storytelling instantly and signaling that Avatar was not just entertainment, it was art. The episode opens with a shocking shift in tone, a nightmare instead of a comedy beat. Aang stands alone in a dark, empty void, calling out as Katara and Sokka suddenly vanish, symbolizing his fear of abandonment and the emotional distance caused by his 100-year disappearance. Monk Gyatso appears, only to crumble into ash, confronting Aang with the full horror of the genocide he unintentionally fled from. Then the shadow of Fire Lord Ozai looms, representing the unstoppable threat ahead. Without a single line of heavy dialogue, the show communicates guilt, trauma, and destiny, signaling Avatar's storytelling evolution.
Since you're a full-blown traitor now and you want me gone, why wait? I'm powerless. You've got your swords. Why don't you just do it now?
Because I know my own destiny. Taking you down is the Avatar's destiny. Goodbye.
Coward! You think you're brave enough to face me, but you'll only do it during the eclipse. If you have any real courage, you'll stick around until the sun comes out. Don't you want to know what happened to your...
While Aang faces literal thunderclouds, Zuko's storm is internal. The sky above his ship is calm, but tension crackles among the crew. They resent Zuko's stubbornness. His obsession with the Avatar and his unstable temper. Each command he gives feels like a spark ready to ignite conflict. Iroh, ever perceptive, watches quietly, sensing not just the real storm coming, but the emotional one tearing Zuko apart. Small details, a snapped response, a crew member's glare, Zuko's tense posture reveal the early seeds of his depth. The storm marks the beginning of Zuko's evolution beyond villainy into one of animation's greatest characters. For the first time in the series, someone isn't impressed, grateful, or excited to see the Avatar. The fisherman angrily confronts Aang, breaking the pattern of admiration that had followed him until now. Instead of seeing Aang as a savior, he sees him as someone who disappeared at the worst possible moment and left the world to burn. It's raw, uncomfortable, and painfully real. Aang doesn't argue back, he absorbs the blame silently, revealing just how much guilt he carries behind his cheerful exterior. This moment grounds the story, proving Avatar isn't afraid to confront emotional and moral complexity. The Storm became legendary because of its brilliant dual story structure. The episode divides itself into two emotional timelines, Aang's past and Zuko's past. Both are told around a firelight, Aang near a warm campfire with the fishermen, and Zuko gathered with his crew below deck, symbolizing truth coming to the surface. The editing transitions seamlessly between the two stories, almost like a conversation between destinies. Every beat mirrors the other, guilt, shame, fear, and isolation. One character runs from responsibility while the other is punished for showing compassion. This parallel storytelling is where Avatar elevates beyond a kid's adventure, becoming a deeply layered narrative about trauma, expectations, and misunderstood youth on opposite sides of a war. Aang's past is shown with heartbreaking beauty, life at the Southern Air Temple filled with freedom, laughter, and warmth. The visuals have a soft white glow, highlighting how peaceful everything once was. But the moment the monks reveal he's the Avatar too early, everything changes. The kids start treating him differently, teachers push responsibility onto him, and the isolation begins. The most devastating scene comes when he overhears the monks planning to separate him from monk Gyatso, the one person who loves him unconditionally. Overwhelmed, confused, and emotionally shattered, Aang runs away. It's not weakness, it's the reaction of a child collapsing under impossible pressure. Caught in a massive storm, he ends up frozen for 100 years.
Well, in our group, typically we start out our missions with a more upbeat attitude.
I can't believe this.
Maybe we can make some big pots of glue, and then I can use glue bending to stick his arms and legs together so he can't bend anymore.
Yeah, then you can show him his baby pictures and all those happy memories will make him good again.
Do you really think that would work?
No!
Zuko's origin story hits just as hard, but in a completely different way. We see him before the scar, young, kind, respectful, and full of hope. He joins a war meeting eager to learn, but when he speaks out against sacrificing recruits, he unknowingly challenges Fire Nation tradition. His punishment isn't for being morally wrong, but for disrespecting a general. The true shock comes during the Agni Kai, when Zuko realizes his opponent is his own father, Fire Lord Ozai. Terrified, he refuses to fight. Instead of mercy, Ozai burns his face and banishes him, declaring he must capture the Avatar to restore honor. Zuko learns a brutal lesson. Compassion is a weakness in his nation's culture. Though the storm shows them to be spiritual mirrors, Aang and Zuko could not be more different on the surface. Emotionally and physically, Aang is exiled not for misbehavior, but rather for the world putting intolerable demands on a child. For the opposite reason, showing compassion and daring to defy violence, Zuko is expelled. Neither guy picked their path, and both bear unbearable guilt. Instead of flatly saying the comparison, the show challenges viewers to see the symmetry in their pain. Both wander, lost, ashamed, and yearning for belonging. This delicate comparison improves the narrative by highlighting how heroes and bad guys are sometimes formed by the same suffering, only their choices distinguish them.
Everyone needs to evacuate! We'll come for you when it's safe!
The emotional storms within both characters collide with reality when the actual storm comes. Aang demonstrates his intuition is always love, even toward people who damage him, by plunging into danger to rescue the very same fisherman who just blamed him for the war. Zuko, meanwhile, puts his life on the line to save his crew. This scene surprises them since it goes against all they believed about him. These two acts of heroism reveal fissures developing in both characters' emotional boundaries. For Aang, it marks the start of facing his past instead of escaping from it. For Zuko, it's the first clue that he will eventually escape from the abuse he grew up in. This is the exact moment the entire series transforms. Aang and Appa are battling the violent storm, rescuing the villagers with everything they have. Down below, Zuko steps out onto the deck of his ship, rain pouring, lightning cracking, and he looks up. Their eyes lock across the sky. No bending, no dialogue, no dramatic score. Just two broken kids recognizing the pain in each other. It's pure visual storytelling, and it hits harder than any fight ever could. That single glance says it all. This isn't a simple adventure anymore. Trauma, destiny, guilt. Avatar grows up at this moment.
You kinda have to balance on it like it's a top.
Man, that's hard.
Where'd you learn that trick, Aang? I made it up. Wow!
Aang, come with us. We need to speak with you.
How do you know it's me?
We have known you were the Avatar for some time.
The storm doesn't just deepen the story, it changes how every future episode feels. After this point, every joke, every adventure, every battle carries emotional weight because we now know the ghosts chasing Aang and Zuko. This episode sets up the backbone of the show, their intertwined destinies. Two journeys bending toward each other like opposing elements trying to balance the world. What happens in this storm becomes symbolic for every future confrontation, every uneasy alliance, every moment of empathy between them. It's the spark that launches Avatar from a good cartoon into one of TV's greatest narratives. The storm is the exact turning point where Avatar stops being a kid's show and becomes a powerful, emotionally layered blockbuster. It lays the foundation for Zuko's legendary redemption arc and Aang's battle with destiny. This is the moment the series becomes unforgettable. Like, share, subscribe, more breakdowns coming.